So they are 3-0 to start the season, and they have beaten three somewhat quality opponents. Arguably their biggest rival in the division in the first week. The team that they played in the Super Bowl last year, who have been the dominant team in the NFL for the last 7, 8 years. And a team that I said was the most exciting team in the NFL, a team that was in the playoffs, won their division, and won a playoff game last year, and features maybe the best wide receiver combo in the league. They beat all three of those teams. And I can still tell you after 3 weeks, the Philadelphia Eagles look flawed. They look flawed. They in no way look like the team that won the Super Bowl last year. Even though, yes, they are 3-0, they've won all 3 games. That's the most important thing, and that's what fans will focus on. But this team, to me, doesn't look anywhere near like the team that went out and destroyed competition last year. And you could make the argument, of course, that the team last year did lose some of those games. They were 2-2 over their first 2 weeks. They lost a dramatic primetime game against the Falcons, I remember. And they were 2-2, and they didn't start off so hot. And then they went on a roll, and they just beat up everybody. The one game they lost, Jalen Daniels played amazing, and Jalen Hurts was hurt. So from that point on, that Falcons game that I'm talking about, all the way until now, they haven't lost a game. I don't think it was the Falcons game. I think they lost the game after. But from like week 4 of last year to now, they haven't lost a game really. So you could say that the Eagles have been dominant and they're winning. But something doesn't feel right about this team. It just doesn't feel like this is the team that won the Super Bowl last year. It doesn't seem like A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are on exactly the same page as they used to be. Remember, A.J. Brown did not have a catch in the first half yesterday. It doesn't seem that the offensive line is protecting as well. We saw Jalen Hurts take shots yesterday that he usually never takes. Gets like absolutely popped by Jared Verse and a couple other guys in that Rams defensive line. And the Rams are a great team, no doubt, but you just never see that happen. Landon Dickerson being out may have a lot to do with that. But is this offensive line maybe not quite what it was last year? Offensive line is such a tricky thing in that it's so year to year. It's so year to year. Honestly, sometimes it's even so game to game because the Chiefs offensive line, had a Pro Bowl center and, a right tackle who's been a Pro Bowler, and they looked good for most of the season. And then last year in the Super Bowl, they looked like they had never protected before. It's kind of weird how that works, but the offensive line is so up and down, and they can play great and they can play terrible. We saw the Packers have a brilliant offensive line over the first 2 weeks, and they couldn't do anything against the Browns yesterday, and Jordan Love was in huge trouble. Offensive line seems to be an issue. Saquon is still Saquon, and he could always break one, but hey, he was his first 7 carries yesterday. He was 13 yards. That's it. And Jalen Hurts looked like, I said, if the game yesterday had continued the way it was going during the first half, I was like, Jalen Hurts might, throw for 2,500 yards this season, 2,300 yards this season. That's genuinely it, because it just doesn't feel like they are pushing the ball down the field as much. But they can turn it on at any moment. And that's what they did against the Rams. They were down 26-7. It looked like it could have been a blowout. And the Eagles just came back and they did exactly what they needed to do. A.J. Brown got back into the match. Devontae Smith, caught some important passes, ended up getting a touchdown. Jalen Hurts used scrambling ability, got the ball to the right guys at the right time. Dallas Goedert got a touchdown. The defense stepped up big time. Matthew Stafford did make some mistakes, threw some passes that you think are kind of an error. Puka Nacua, hands down my favorite player in the NFL right now. I just love that guy. Such a good, solid receiver. He was by far the best thing the Rams had going. Another over 100-yard performance for him. So Matthew Stafford was just force-feeding him. Devontae Adams did get the touchdown. People could say it was offensive pass interference. I don't think it was enough to actually call for offensive pass interference, but Devontae Adams did that. But Puka Nacua, I think, is their wide receiver 1. I don't care what any of the metrics may say. But yeah, the Eagles did come back and they beat the Los Angeles Rams. 2 important blocked field goals. Football is all 3 phases. All 3 phases. You don't think special teams is important until you lose a game because of special teams. You win or you lose a game because of special teams. Let's go back to the Rams kicker, Cardi. He was actually maybe their MVP through the beginning of the game. He hit a lot of field goals because they had trouble getting into the end zone. Field goals can get you beat. We saw that because he kicked like 2 or 3 field goals where if those were touchdowns, this comeback wouldn't even happen. But the kickoffs, oh my goodness, the kickoffs, the way that they were kicking the ball off in a way that it was spinning so that they couldn't catch the ball cleanly, 2 or 3 extra seconds for the Rams special team unit to get to them, and they start off on these really long fields. Brilliant, brilliant. I hate the new kickoff rules personally. I hate that they made it even more stringent this year. I understand that you want more kickoffs, but they don't realize the other ways that it affects the game. Like teams are going for it on fourth down way more often now as a result of this new kickoff rule because it's like if we score, we're going to get this team a short field. So wouldn't it be better for us to get a touchdown as opposed to getting, a field goal and still starting them off on maybe the same field position? You could say that's good. It's more exciting. Teams don't settle for field goals as often, but I think it's just going to deflate a lot of the statistics throughout the NFL, and I don't like it personally. But regardless, yep, the Philadelphia Eagles, I think, have major issues. I think their secondary can be had. I think their defensive line isn't as menacing as it was. Saquon Barkley isn't having the impact as he used to have. The receivers aren't as scary as they once were. And many people were saying that the Philadelphia Eagles remind us of the Chiefs just last year, or even the very Eagles team from 2 years ago. You win all these close games. You win all of these nail-biter games because you have more talent and because you have a quarterback that can make plays when it counts. I hate all the Jalen Hurts haters personally because he's proven to be a great, solid quarterback. Is he Mahomes, Allen, Lamar? Maybe not. But is he a quarterback that can be the guy on a championship-winning team? Yes. So why does it matter? Clearly, obviously, he's shown it. But that's why they're able to win many of these games. That's why the 2023 Eagles and the 2024 Chiefs were able to win many games because they had quarterbacks that could pull it out and they had defensive coordinators that could draw up the right schemes for them to win games. But overall, this team looks like it has many issues. And what happened for the 2023 Eagles? Their fall off came earlier. They were 10-1 to start the season, and they lost 6 of their last 7 games, including the playoff game in which they got destroyed. I think 32-9 it was. And for the 2024 Chiefs, theirs was a little bit longer. They were 15-1 in the regular season, really, and then they lost the last game of who cares. And that they actually won their 2 playoff games and made it all the way to the Super Bowl and then got killed in the Super Bowl against a team that was really, really, really good. Insanely good in last year's Philadelphia Eagles. So unless the Eagles tighten up something, maybe they're in for another spout like what happened in 2023 for them or 2024 for the Chiefs. And that's worrying. Maybe Eagles fans will say, like, hey, the Chiefs last year, regardless of what happened in the Super Bowl, they did still make the Super Bowl. Like, that's still something. They did still make the Super Bowl, regardless of how bad anybody thinks they actually were. But this is worrying because the 2023 Chiefs, who did win the Super Bowl, even though they were only 11-6 in the regular season, I always felt like they could be a true danger to win the Super Bowl if the receivers could just catch passes. That was it. That was the only issues. Can your receivers catch passes? And when it was most important, give credit to Mahomes and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo and everything you want. But I thought the most important thing of that Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, their 3rd Super Bowl in this, era, was because the receivers could finally just catch the ball because their defense was stellar throughout the entire year. I didn't think Mahomes was playing horribly. I just thought the receivers couldn't catch. That's really it. For the Eagles that same year, 2023, it seemed like they had many flaws. They just got lucky. The 2024 Eagles, even if they started 2-2, I could look at them and say, I think that could be the best team in the league. I think hands down that could be the best team in the league. I think that team's actually better than Detroit. We saw how Detroit lost their first playoff game last year. You could see it. So the main thing to take away from football is that even if a team loses a game, you could still say that team is dangerous. And even if a team wins a game, you could say that team is flawed. And this Eagles team so far over the first 3 weeks looks flawed. And it looks like they have many issues. Even with what happened yesterday, even with what happened then, I still favor the Packers over them. If they can just tighten up, the Packers can just tighten up what they had issues with, their offensive line being a major issue, because their defense was brilliant. But their offensive line, which obviously is, a big what if, but if the offensive line unit plays better, the Packers blow out the Browns yesterday. So Eagles are miles off of it at the moment. But hey, a win is a win. They packed another win. And let's see what they can do.